What's up, nerds? Welcome back to the channel. Today, we are reviewing my predictions about how I thought A Realm Reborn would actually end. And let me just say, I am blown away. I just finished A Realm Reborn, just watched the final cutscenes. We did a live stream of it. It was so much better than I could have asked for. So much better than I predicted. The community, your procession with me to Ishgard, super humbling. I honestly, this experience has been absolutely incredible. I have loved every moment of A Realm Reborn. It took me 5 months to complete it because I just didn't want to rush through it. Feeling a little emotional, knowing that I will never be able to re-experience A Realm Reborn for the first time again, but feeling so hopeful and excited for what's to come. I loved the ending of A Realm Reborn. The cutscenes, the fight scenes, so much better than anything I had experienced up until that point, and it made me even more excited for what is to come. So today, we are revisiting the video I put out where I discussed my wish list, my to-do list, and my predictions about how I think A Realm Reborn would end. And I'm just gonna say up front, I was terribly wrong about a lot of things, and it's really interesting to revisit now my predictions, now knowing what I know about A Realm Reborn. Get cozy, sit back. I hope you're having a great new year. And yeah, welcome back to the channel, nerds. Let's get into it. I've neatly organized my jumbled ramblings into 3 organized categories for us to process through together today. My to-do list, my wish list, and my final predictions on how this all ends. I'm pretty sure I failed my entire to-do list. Begins. The first item on my to-do list before launching into Heavensward is Golden Saucer. One of the amazing qualities about the Final Fantasy. Yeah, nope, never made it to Golden Saucer. Unfortunately, one day, maybe one day, but not before Ishgard. I unfortunately just never got around to it. Franchise is the built-in game mechanics in each of these games that help you as the player take a break from saving the world and to, for example, spend some time at a local fair, win some prizes, which is great for our mental well-being, but absolutely terrible for the denizens in these games who are facing impending doom, while we forcefully breed oversized chickens for our enjoyment. All joking aside, I would love to go spend more time at the Golden Saucer in Final Fantasy XIV. I've only been once or twice. The experience was a little overwhelming with how much actually you can do there, so I haven't been back, but would love to go back before I get too far in Heavensward. I've heard that you can get or unlock armor, mounts, and weapons through the different mini games. So if you have any suggestions, let me know in the comments. Like I said, I would love to spend more time there before I actually get too far in Heavensward. My next item on never made it back, but that's okay. It's still on my to-do list of things to do, just didn't happen before Heavensward. That's okay. Let's see what the next one is. On the list is a unique one specifically for this channel, and that is healing. Despite both fear and anxiety death gripping my gonads, I've pledged to all of you, my faithful fans, to force myself to overcome and transform into the best healer Final Fantasy XIV has ever seen. That being said, I am not going to start Heavensward until I clear an extreme trial as a healer. It's a personal matter, so don't try to talk me out of it. It's something I need to overcome within myself. So actually, I did. I cleared 3 EX trials as healer. As a gauntlet, it was a personal self-imposed requirement for myself, and I did clear it. It was super brutal. We filmed the whole thing, but yeah, it was super hard. Not sure if I'm going to explore healing any further. I think in Heavensward, I'm going to focus on being a Dragoon, which is how I started all of Final Fantasy XIV. But yes, I did, at least this one, I did actually clear this to-do list item.
If you all insist.
And to ensure that I'm ready for this extreme experience, I have been practicing behind the scenes and with many of you on our Sprout Saturday live stream. So thank you all for enduring my lack of skill. All that being said, I would love to focus on growing as a healer, so I want to become a better white mage, moving out of A Realm Reborn and into Heavensward. Next item on my to-do list. It's addicting. I'm a fiend. I suffered intense jealousy every time I meet a new player with an incredible collection of mounts. I need more. In fact, I need every single mount in this game to satisfy. Yeah, so I learned the hard way. It's impossible. You can't get every single mount. A lot of them are tied to special events or things that just don't take place anymore. So yeah, that definitely popped my bubble. I did get some of the mounts during the Moogle Tombstone event that happened. I got some of the Heavensward mounts, the little wolf guys. I got like 4 of them. So that I did get some new mounts. I just didn't get. I'm learning you can't get all of them. So I've come to grips with that. So yeah, I moved on. And my thirst. Listen, don't judge me, okay? I blame all of this on the last 2 Pokemon games for being so terrible. Therefore,
that is still true. Pokemon was so disappointing.
Session with collecting monsters or beasts will be satisfied in Final Fantasy XIV. And I'm looking to all of you pros in this game to help show me the way to literally get every single mount that has ever existed. And I won't stop until I'm the best there ever was. Destiny. Next item on my to-do list before getting into Heavensward is we got to figure out my armor situation.
Okay, this I did do, and thank you so much to Shelly for helping me get this, but I look way cooler now. Way cooler now.
I am tired of tanking and looking like a Tron trash can.
This I can do.
I just want to look sexy. Is that too much to ask? I want to have the armor rating of exploited Daedric armor from Skyrim while looking like Sephiroth. More specifically, shirtless Sephiroth. That's right. Hair down, shirt off, black pants, 1 wing, big sword Sephiroth.
How can I not?
And I
am closer to that aesthetic, actually. Thank you to Shelly and a few others. I have black pants, no shirt, a tattoo, so a lot closer to what I was going for. And I'm so thankful to not be wearing the Ironworks armor anymore. It was absolutely atrocious.
I know that there is some glam expert watching this video that knows exactly how to get exactly what I'm asking
Shelly.
for. So
it
I'm
was
looking
Shelly.
for you to help me acquire this amazing aesthetic that I have been longing for. Help me achieve my dreams. This next category on my to-do list is not as rigid as the other ones, but I would like to explore other classes before getting into Heavensward. Classes like Summoner, Rogue, Black Mage, Dancer. Yes, Dancer.
Sadly, none of that happened. No, it'll probably happen. In Heavensward expansion, just literally did not have a chance to try any new classes. I got max level Bard, the highest you can get in a Realm Reborn. I got max level Dragoon, max level Samurai, which is really just level, 60? Something like that. I got max level White Mage and max level Warrior, but that's about it. I didn't get anything else, but that is still on my to-do list. Just didn't get around to it.
I want to main Dancer for a short time. I want to tippy-tap my feet to the rhythm of the night as I show Garda how much of a man I have become since our last encounter together. I want to hip thrust my way to the end of every dungeon as I lock eyes with the boss, showing my dominance.
Honestly, those animations that I've been doing in this video that took so long to do. And honestly, it might be for my own enjoyment at this point. I don't know. The videos that I do a lot of animations on, they don't do good or even any better than videos I do no animations on. So I kind of stopped doing the high intense animation segments. But anyway, I thought you should know that I spent a lot of time on these animations.
On top of all that, maybe someone will finally invite me to those VIP clubs I've been hearing about. You know, the ones that are embedded inside of the basement of an FC house.
That never happened either, although I did go to Balmung and caught a disease, so I guess that's a nightclub.
Why has no one invited me to this yet? I just want to show my moves. I want to show you how amazing of a dancer I am. And if you have access to a VIP dance club, please, in the Discord, tell me how to get there.
You and I.
Honestly, I still want to go. Just help me find these underground clubs.
I will speak later.
Okay, that wraps up my to-do list. Let's talk about wish list, more specifically what I am hoping for in Heavensward based on my experiences so far in A Realm Reborn. So far, A Realm Reborn has been great. One thing I wish I had more of was voice-acted cutscenes, which I'm hoping for in Heavensward. More voice-acted moments, even the things that aren't necessarily significant. I think it helps me with immersion. I'm an audio learner, and when I have to...
Okay, we're just going to say right now, the switch up of Alphino's voice caught me off guard. I actually like his A Realm Reborn version better. I'm sure the new one will grow on me, but yeah, it was surprising. I wasn't prepared for it. Also, just seeing Urianger on my screen makes me mad. Now that I know what I know about you, Urianger. To read plethora of text, it kind of breaks the momentum of the story, and I'm specifically looking at you, Urianger, for your rambling and rambling and rambling.
Wherefore inquirest thou of her fairness?
I don't need 13 minutes of text and difficult Old English to understand how to progress the story. Now, if it was voice acted, it'd be a totally different experience. In all seriousness, I would love more voice acted scenes in Heavensward. I would love to feel more connected to Y'shtola. I mean, the whole cast of Final Fantasy XIV.
Treat me like an adult.
Okay. Yeah, no, so I don't know if there's more voice acted cutscenes in Heavensward, but yeah, the switch up on the voice actors was a little surprising. I wasn't expecting that. And also the notification sound of getting new quests, that's pretty cool actually. It's fresh, right? Hearing the same da 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 all of A Realm Reborn, but then getting that new notification sound is actually kind of fun. I liked it. Okay, next item on my wish list for Heavensward. Now, I know that A Realm Reborn has regular, hard, and extreme versions of icons, so I would like to see like a nightmare mode for every icon that took place in A Realm Reborn.
I could do with a little rampage myself.
I want to suffer through an even harder version of the extreme fights.
It's be about time.
What I'm really looking for is just an insanity experience. Maybe they could be like a gauntlet fight where you have to fight multiple icons at once. I mean, imagine fighting Titan, Ifrit, and Garda at the same time. I don't know if that happens. I do know there's like an ultimate fight. Somebody told me about that. So I don't know if that's going to take place in the way that I am thinking the fight takes place. When I say a gauntlet, I literally mean like if all three icons were in the arena at the exact same time and your party is splitting and handling them at the very same time instead of sequential like you see in Ultima Weapon. You know how it's sequential, one after the other. I'm talking about having all three icons in the boss fight at the exact same moment. I have no idea if that happens. So that's still to come. And having to navigate that with a huge party, I think that kind of trial would be really fun. And so again, I have no idea if that's even part of the game, but would love to see some just insane version of the icons specifically. And since we are speaking of extreme experiences in Final Fantasy XIV, I would love if Heavensward picked up where A Realm Reborn left off, specifically with the dungeons. I love that there were regular and hard versions of all the dungeons. How cool would it be if there were extreme versions of the dungeons? Unfortunately, I learned that is not the case in Heavensward, which is unfortunate because dungeons is actually what got me into MMOs. So that's a bit of a bummer. Of how each of the hard versions incorporated different aesthetic, different music, different bosses, different enemies. I want one more step. I want an extreme version of every single dungeon in A Realm Reborn to be embedded in Heaven. Maybe one day, after Dawn Trail, we'll see some, come back and have one more iteration of difficulty. We'll see. Somehow, that's what I'm asking for. I enjoyed the challenge, but I want it to be harder.
I've always had a soft spot for men like you.
I'm not just saying make the enemies have more health. I'm saying I want the enemies to have sentience. I want the enemies to strategically pick apart my party, targeting the healer, shaking off take stance, and directly picking our party apart member by member. I want the end boss in every dungeon, if you fail the mechanic, to be able to reset the entire dungeon. You still have to operate within that 90-minute window, that 70-minute window. You still got to clear it in that time frame, but if you mess up a boss mechanic, the entire dungeon resets. You go back to the beginning. That's the level of suffering I want to experience in Heavensward. Basically, I'm looking for a dungeon experience that can never be autopiloted. I want people to feel dread the moment that one of these instances pop up on your daily roulettes. My last item... Yeah, we'll see. I don't know if that's ever going to happen. Granted, I haven't really gotten into Heavensward content yet, so maybe the dungeons in Heavensward are more challenging. I don't know. We'll see. My wish list for Heavensward is, again, it's following the theme of extremity. I want to suffer brand new trials. We talked about icons, we talked about dungeons, but I want to suffer through brand new trials. I want them to be absolutely unforgiving in their boss mechanics. I want to be beaten, thrown up against the wall, spat on as I try to crawl away from the boss.
What did he say?
I want to see Lalas thrown off a cliff headfirst into lava as the healers scream as their tank is ripped limb from limb. You have to admit that that animation was funny, right? I spent way too long to be violated in Final Fantasy XIV Heavensward Trials. It's possible. Like I said, some of this I haven't experienced yet, so that is to come, right? I'm really hoping for some just absolutely punishing content. Now, for the part all of you have been waiting for, my sproutish predictions about a game that most of you have already completed at this point. But before I tickle your fancies, consider liking and subscribing to this channel. It means so much to me. And if you really want to be a supporter, consider joining my Patreon, where you get access to private Discord and you get some really cool behind-the-scenes footage not released here on YouTube.
Nice job.
Also, if you like this hoodie, consider checking out the nerdy merch page. You can help. I will say we just released our new holiday Moogle hoodie merch. It's very, very cool. Check it out. It supports the channel. But yeah, listen to what I'm saying in this video. Support the channel and look really cool at the same time. So yeah, all of the links that I'm talking about will be in the description of the video, so check that out. But anyway, back to what you came for. This is what I'm most looking forward to in Heavensward. I've heard it's an incredible part of the game, and so I've got some predictions based on what has taken place in the story so far and how I would imagine the next expansion is going to get set up. So I'm predicting that Heavensward will begin with a very painful ending of A Realm Reborn. Well, there definitely was a painful moment at the end of A Realm Reborn. It was very shocking. So not at all what I was expecting, but when that cute little Lala died, that was intense. The choking scene was way more intense than I was expecting. And granted, I was never expecting her to be part of this expected death at the end of A Realm Reborn. More specifically, I believe there's going to be three things. There's going to be death, there's going to be division, and there's going to be deception that are going to help set up the next expansion of this game. That part I was correct on, just not the parties involved. I was never expecting what happened to happen. I was never expecting, all the Scions to be outcasted. I was only really expecting the main character. And I certainly was expecting Minfilia to be the one that died to kind of set up the next arc, and not her name's escaped me at the moment, but the cute little Lala who died at the very beginning of the cutscenes.
I beg your pardon?
Now, in my opinion, the most logical death that's going to take place in the end of A Realm Reborn is going to be our beloved leader of the Scion group, Minfilia. Nope. Now, I could be totally wrong about this, but this is how I am predicting it's going to unfold. I think Minfilia is actually going to be swayed by the Ascians, more specifically the white-cloaked one, and I believe that his philosophy of the crystal is going to somehow sway her in a way that causes tension amongst the other Scions. This is ultimately going to lead to her death. So maybe that happens later on, down different expansions. I will say I owe a big apology to you, Minfilia. The way that you stood your ground with me in the very last cutscene, your final speech, the way that you basically stayed behind so that I could escape, I owe you an apology. You did not betray us, or at least I think, so far. At least not in A Realm Reborn, you didn't betray us. So yeah, Minfilia, I'm so sorry. You're still alive, and I'm kind of grateful for that, actually. But sad for the Lala. Very sad for her. I don't know if her death is going to be at the hand of a Scion, perhaps at maybe one of the Alliance members, but I do believe that her sway to the Ascian philosophy is going to lead to her death. Now, when Minfilia dies, I believe it's going to set a series of events into motion that are going to catapult the game into its next expansion. I believe that her death will not only cause a rift or a division amongst the Scions as they disagree whether or not she was doing the right thing or if her philosophy was the correct manner, but I also think it's going to cause a split amongst the Alliance members, causing some maybe division or some sort of rift amongst themselves. So I was close in the respect that there was going to be division. I just was incorrect about to whom would spark that moment. Obviously, when the cute little Lala died, I didn't realize how political the ending of A Realm Reborn was going to be. Seeing Reborn react was super satisfying. I love that he just like cut down that evil Lala, like just cut him down. It was so satisfying. But I'm curious to see how he is accepted amongst his other political figures in the game. Because now we see he's imprisoned, right? So I'm very curious to see how it's going to play out. But yeah, there was definitely division. I was right about that. I just was wrong about who would spark it. I'm also curious to see how the alliances, like what happens to them now, right? I mean, obviously, you know, the other leaders left the room. Reborn obviously was imprisoned. So I'm expecting there to be great division that continues amongst the alliance leaders, but I was super satisfied and so wrong that the Scion group actually stuck together, and the way that they stuck together was so satisfying. Everyone's power-up moves, everyone kind of letting the other Scions escape, you know, Scion by Scion just giving of themselves so that the rest of the group could escape. Super satisfying, and I am so wrong for doubting the how united the Scions were. Like, they really stood up for each other. They stuck up for each other. They fought for each other. And I was totally wrong about their legitimacy. So, my bad. Splitting the alliance altogether. As the alliance then becomes at odds with one another, I believe it's going to create a vulnerability where the Empire is going to step up and actually take advantage of that moment. Perhaps with resurrecting icons or maybe more mechanical versions of the icons as we saw with Ultimate Weapon. I think that their next weapon is going to be unveiled during this vulnerability where the Alliance members are no longer working together, where the Scions are no longer under one leader. I think the Empire is going to exploit that vulnerability. Yeah. Didn't see much about the Empire. I'm trying to remember all the details. I don't remember there anything being specific about the Empire, but I'm curious to see what happens moving forward. Obviously, the ending of Crystal Tower was interesting. Seeing the Red Ranger, I forget his name at the moment, but seeing him without his helmet was very, very cool. Now, this next part, I could be totally wrong about this, but I think there's something a little bit off with Lady Hydaelyn. I think we're going to learn that maybe she's not all that she seems to be, or her philosophy or her objectives, they may not align with how the Scions or the other Echo bearers believe her to be functioning. I believe that we will learn that Lady Hydaelyn has an agenda that those with Echo will disagree over. And this will ultimately cause an even greater division amongst the heroes, the Echo bearers, the Scions, and the Alliance members throughout Eorzea. So while that didn't happen in A Realm Reborn, I do still think maybe there's something a little bit sus about Hydaelyn. Maybe that's just my personal, inability to believe that anything is just eternally benevolent, especially in these fantasy stories. I'm always cautious to believe that something is purely benevolent. I will say it was very beautiful, though, when Minfilia was able to hear Hydaelyn again, kind of in the cutscenes and during the main chase. It was kind of like a really cool moment of like a sigh of relief of like, oh, okay, we haven't been abandoned by this higher power. So that was kind of a cool moment. And just when you think it couldn't get any worse, I do believe that Thancred is going to have some sort of relapse. I think he's going to either get repossessed, maybe he'll leave the Scions and maybe join a different group, or some sort of other philosophy that basically causes him to enter darkness again. Bro, I will say Thancred's cutscene was goosebumps, man. Honestly, Thancred is OP. The way that he just stood on business, he was unfazed. When he was outnumbered like 12 or 14 to 1, they came up on him And Boyd pulled out his blades and said, "Are you sure you want to do this? I'm giving you the opportunity to walk away." And he left unscathed. Thancred is the man, okay? He was standing on business in those cutscenes, man. He was, and I'm so sorry that I doubted him. He was amazing. I think that is actually going to cause Y'shtola to also depart to some degree. Dude, Y'shtola was amazing as well. I can't believe I thought they were going to what's it called? Defect. I can't believe I thought they were going to defect. Y'shtola and Thancred had some of the coolest fight scenes in those cutscenes. They had some amazing power-up moves. The way that they were actually together in the tunnels, fighting together, amazing.
I think there's been like a weird love tension between
Rewatching it, I don't think there's love tension anymore. I don't know. Maybe there was. At this time, I thought there was, but in those tunnels, I'm like, the way that Y'shtola spoke back to him, because he kind of was like flirty a little bit, and she kind of like brushed him off with kind of some sarcastic remark. So maybe there isn't love tension, which gives me hope, because Y'shtola is going to fall in love with my main character in the story. I want that to happen.
Too. So I think that love tension is going to be revealed, and once Thancred goes into the darkness, I think Y'shtola is going to follow
the only thing that went into darkness was the soldiers that decided to stand against Thancred.
And there remain so many mysteries here that want for solving.
And then to top it all off, I think there's going to be some sort of event, or maybe the blame is going to be shifted onto the main character, where all of this is somehow pinned on the main warrior.
Okay, so I was sort of right about this. I was definitely blamed for the poisoning of the Lala. I was definitely blamed for that, and it was kind of like, okay, I'm not totally off basis, because I had a feeling how much glory the main character was getting through all of his feats. I just knew that the most logical sense. The most logical trope would be rejection, isolation, exile. So I was right about this, just totally wrong about how it would play out.
And I think that's going to ultimately be where some sort of exiling event is going to take place, perhaps into the mountains, a high place.
Which it was. Ishgard is a high place. It is. But the way that they revealed Heavensward as the title was incredible. That poem they read at the end of the cutscene, going into Ishgard, lifting their eyes, Heavensward, I was like, oh my gosh. It made the title just feel amazing.
Maybe that's where the name Heavensward is
Yes,
derived.
it was. It was derived from being literally a high place.
And then during this exile of the main character, I believe you're going to meet, or I'm going to meet, a mentoring figure that is going to basically show me a new path, or maybe encourage me to still go fight for Eorzea as all of these Empire attacks and icons are, assaulting the land. And I think that could be a really emotional way to set up the next expansion, is coming out of exile and still fighting for the people that have ultimately rejected me.
So that is potentially possible. I would say that I do suspect the alliance members, even though the alliance itself is fractured, I do expect them to need me. And even though they can't follow me, because the Ishgardians were like, we're not going to let anyone that's going to follow you that isn't your friend into our gates, which is amazing. I'm so glad I'm in Ishgard now. But I would imagine that there's going to be something that causes the alliance members to be like, dude, we really need the main character to come help us. Either Empire is going to put pressure on them, or something with the icons. We'll see. Something is going to happen.
I think that's very powerful. Now, only time will tell if I am right about these predictions, but don't spoil them in the comments. But I am interested to know what your thoughts are on my predictions, so make sure you drop those in the comments below. That sums up my predictions on how A Realm Reborn ends and how Heavensward begins.
Yeah, so I would say my to-do list, I got some of them completed. My wish list for Heavensward is still pending. We'll see what happens. And as for my predictions about how it all ends in A Realm Reborn, there was some that I got really, really on the money. Just I was not expecting that Lala to be the crux, the moment in which all things kind of pivoted. Also, the little evil Lala. Oh my gosh, I wanted to kick him across the room during that live stream. Oh man. And so when Reborn cut him down, it was like, thank God, because there's two ways that scene could have gone in a fantasy story. And I see it happen all the time. Either the person that is feeling the rage is prohibited from unleashing the rage on said villain, and then it happens later down the line, or it just blatantly happens in the moment. And I'm so glad that it just happened in the moment. Like, seeing him cut down, amazing. Now, I will say, if you're interested in watching me progress through this just absolute masterpiece of a game, I will be live streaming all MSQ related items on YouTube, exclusively on YouTube. And I'm also going to be dropping weekly content videos primarily about Final Fantasy XIV, which there's a back catalog. You can go and binge those. Every Friday at noon Eastern is when I drop a new video, and I'm planning on streaming MSQ weekly as well. So if you want to follow me along on my journey, that would be amazing. Again, thank you for your support. This community has been beyond and welcoming. I'm so humbled by your support, by my patrons, my YouTube member, subscribers, and all of you in the Discord. Thanks for hanging out with me. Thanks for running content with me. A Realm Reborn was magical. I can't wait for what comes in Heavensward. And so thanks for watching this video and hanging out with me. Stay nerdy. Until next time, I'll see you later. Bye.